Welcome back to the 100% practice walkthrough of Dark Souls 3, Psycho Doggo, and it is time for the Dancer. So, a couple of things to be aware of for fighting the Dancer. She is very fast, she hits pretty hard. The best way to counter her is actually a high stability shield. So because we're not a strength build, we don't have the strength to wield a great shield. That means that you're going to want the Shield of Want. We picked it up in the Smoldering Lake. It has 58 stability, which is higher than any other small shield, and it's just barely short of what a great shield is. So it's the best high stability shield that we do have. You might have to adjust your armor. I went ahead, I do have Knight Gauntlets on just because that allows me to maintain my ring allotment and Shield of Want. The other thing you are going to want in this fight, because you're going to be taking a lot of hits on the shield, you're going to want Green Blossom. It increases your stamina recovery, and so you're really going to need that in this fight. You're probably going to need to burn 2 per attempt, as long as you're making it far enough in the boss fight, you're not just getting murdered right at the beginning. A couple of notes about the Dancer itself. So the Dancer is weak to dark and lightning. Of course, we have our Black Knight sword, and that's going to be the best sword for this boss fight. The only other thing that could be good is if you are using the same build but have a plus 10 claymore, then you could buff that with lightning or dark, and that'll do really good damage. But we're going to keep our Black Knight sword. It does a ton of damage and really destroys the Dancer, so we don't need to really worry about that. So the Dancer's 2-phase boss fight. First phase, I'm just going to run up from the boss fight. It's a really short run. So the first phase of the Dancer, she has one sword and has a brutal grab attack. And you really want to avoid that. Best way to do it is she doesn't move too aggressively. So, oh, leave me alone. Because she doesn't move too aggressively, you just run in here, these guys can't follow you. Because she doesn't move too aggressively, you can stay behind her really well, or really easily. So just stay behind her, you don't have to worry about anything, as long as you're behind her. And just try to roll every time you see that grab attack. If you get hit, don't worry, just keep yourself at full health and it won't kill you. The next thing that you need to consider, and then phase 2, she pulls out a second sword. Roll away from her when she's pulling it out, otherwise you will take dark damage. And then she's going to do a bunch of spin cycles. You just want to create distance and block. As long as you have full stamina and create some distance, it won't shield break you and you won't get busted by it. Not too hard of a fight. I'll try to lengthen the fight as much as I can, but it is kind of hard when you're dealing with a boss like the Dancer to elongate the fight, because once she starts getting aggressive, you need to be on the offense. You need to be getting hits in whenever you can, and I'm not going to pass up too many chances to boop the boss. So it's going to be it. I'm going to start the fight by putting a Green Blossom. So all that you need to do, you pick up the basin from where we are standing right here, and then you just walk on forward. As soon as you walk up on it, the Dancer is going to spawn. This is a fun boss fight. If you are dying to it, you don't need to stress out. Just stay positive, keep getting attempts in. Once you get a feel for when to roll on the Dancer, because it can be a little finicky figuring out when to roll, then you'll beat the boss no problem. And if you do want to summon somebody, typically people will throw their summon signs down in front of the door to Vort. So that's where you'll find summon signs if you're looking for somebody online to help you. If you do bring another person from online into this fight, the fight's a joke. It just is. With 2 players, the Dancer's just not a boss designed to deal with 2 players. So you'll just beat her to death really, really quickly. Man, does she look cool. So right at the start of the fight, we're going to pop our Green Blossom. And we're going to use our shield. That's her grab. Make sure to roll. 2 hits, and that's a Fire Blast. You just roll away when she does it, or block, and it won't take too much damage. There you go, you just block. Okay? Just block and rotate. Just keep, whenever she stabs into the ground, just keep circling to the right. Circle right. There's her grab. Rolling towards her rear will keep you safe. Then just continue rotating to the right and you'll be safe. There's her second sword. So we are in phase 2 now. So she's doing her spin cycle, so just create that distance and keep that shield up. And we did get hit once, but that's not the end of the world. So just get yourself back up to full health, and then same plan, keep to her rear, keep that shield up. Make sure you are dropping it when she's just walking around like this, because you need your stamina to regen. Now she's doing spin cycle. Oh, but she stopped after 3, so we're safe. There she's doing, and then she should do a, oh, she did not do a big slam. Okay. I'm going to create some distance. That's a big old blast. It's an AoE. When you do that, create space, pop another green blossom. That'll keep your stamina going. There's her big slam. And just keep hitting her. As you can see, we're doing really good damage. Roll. Oof. Slam did hit me. When you want to heal, just block until she does a pause, and as soon as she pauses, bust a heal. You might take a hit, but as you can see, it didn't do too much damage. At this point in the game, she really doesn't do damage. We're one hit away. Just going to roll away from this AoE. I'm going to see if I can't just survive for a couple of minutes before getting that final hit in. You see, just keep that shield up, and you will really survive anything this boss is dishing out. You just stay on her butt, and you don't take very many hits at all. See what I'm doing? I'm just circling to the left now that she has 2 swords. Just alternate between circling to the right and circling to the left. I think circling to the left does a little bit better. Keeping that shield up. As you can see, you take the hit, but most of the damage is eaten by the shield instead of you. Here comes the big slam. But as long as you keep that shield up, and you are dropping it when she's walking around like this. Same move as in the first run through. Just roll right when she does that. Always heal when she's just walking, and then just get that shield back up because an attack is coming. As you can see, she can do the stab with either move. You just roll the, or you just wrap around behind her in the opposite direction. You'll be safe. Okay, I think that's enough for this fight, so I'm just going to go ahead and boop her. So that's the end of the fight. As you can see, Dancer is not that dangerous of a boss, and as long as you have a high stability shield, you're not going to get punished too poorly or too badly. So just come in, don't let yourself panic, take the fight nice and slow, and you'll be just fine. So now that we've done this, I'm going to light her bonfire. We're going to get this ladder to drop, and we'll be able to head up into Lothric Castle. So place the basin, and a cutscene is going to play. I'm going to skip this cutscene, as cool as it is. This is supposed to be a walkthrough, not a let's play. Then we are going to head on back, but before we do that, we're going to want an Estus shard. So we are now in Lothric Castle. Don't go this way, it's a dead end. Don't go this way, bunch of enemies, and that's the route of progression. Instead, optional areas are to the left. We're going to go to the optional areas first, because I want the goodies that are in it. There's one knight between us and an Estus shard. So we are going to go get ourselves an Estus shard. Come down here, make sure you grab the soul item, and then here's the knight. At this point in the game, you should not be afraid of knights. I just circled and it gave me a free backstab, which I really appreciate. Big old charge heavy on wake up, and he dies. Grab the large Titanite shard that he's almost certainly going to drop because they have a very high drop rate. You can, those are Cathedral Knights, you can grind their entire set. This is the best area for grinding their set, which I have done, and it's very annoying, but you can do it. Come down here, and we have our Estus shard. So now that we have our Estus shard, we're going to go ahead, use a homeward bone. We're going to head on back to Firelink. So the only stuff we have left to do in this episode is we are going to, plus up our Estus and get the Dancer boss weapons. And I'm looking at my notes here for what we're going to do. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is go for the boss of that area. Before you go into that area, we're going to need a lot of fire bombs. So make sure that you do buy both black fire bombs and regular fire bombs, and I will show you how to do both. But first, we're going to grab the Dancer's weapons. You just come over here. So she gives both Soothing Sunlight and her enchanted swords. Her swords actually scale fairly well. I mean, even when they scale perfectly, they don't do the best damage, but they're really fun to use, and I think they do have 2 true combos. I mean, they don't do very much damage at all, and there's always better alternatives, but they're just fun to use, and, it's always nice to just make a character around a weapon. Even if it's not the best weapon, it can be a ton of fun to play through the game with a fun weapon like the dual and dancer swords. So come up here. We're going to talk to Patches. Patches sells black fire bombs. So I'm going to buy 30 of them. You can only carry 10 at a time, but I'm going to buy 30 anyway. He also sells human pine resin. Only person can buy that in an unlimited form. And the horse hoof ring, which I'm going to buy because it's only 500 souls. And it works towards the achievement of having all the rings. Having all of the rings takes, I believe, 4 playthroughs. Maybe only 3 playthroughs. Just because you have to get, once you go into New Game Plus, you start getting, you know, every ring plus 1, every ring plus 2, and then every ring plus 3. So now we're going to make sure that we have regular fire bombs. So we do. And then make sure that you give the ashes that we got in the dungeon to her. Let's see, what did that add? Maybe human pine resin in an unlimited amount. Maybe a large titanite shard. I think it was a large titanite shard. Let's see, any interesting sets? We can now buy the dancer's armor, which is cool. Dancer's armor looks very nice. Okay, so now that we've done that, I've already dealt with that quest line. It's all set up. Good. Good. We don't need to deal with any of the NPCs. We're just going to plus up that Estus. So we are now rocking 14 Estus. We are 1 Estus shard away from having maxed out Estus, which is just super cool. And then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start upgrading the Murakumo. That is a weapon that scales very well with quality. One thing to be aware of, a Murakumo is one of the weird weapons that on a quality build, it does better damage infused sharp than it does infused refined. There are a couple of weapons that do that, so you always want to look up an individual weapon if you want to use and see what infusion it scales best with. And that has to do with the fact that it only gets A scaling heavy, it gets C and B scaling refined, but it gets S scaling with skill. So you end up with more damage when you make it sharp. So we are going to get a sharp Murakumo, and that's all that we're going to do this time. I'm not wasting a titanite scale on that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and level up in the next area. We are going to work towards the boss Osiris. Osiris, very fun boss fight. And one of the ones that is, in my opinion, the most random. You know, you'll have boss attempts where it's a complete joke, and then other attempts where you just die randomly. It's kind of weird. But I am going to go up to 22 vitality, and then from there, we're going to go and get all of our stats that are currently at 25. We're going to go ahead and get them up to 30. Once they're at 30, then we'll get vigor and endurance up to 35, and then strength and dex will both head on up to 40. Okay, so at this point, we can now throw on our black iron armor, our black iron gauntlets, throw our cestus on. Alright, nice. So if you're wondering, we're going to get a ring in just a bit that's going to give us +5 to vitality. So that is why we only leveled up to 22, because we're going to get 5 free levels into it. I don't know if we burn those. Okay, so you take off. The fastest way to clear through that area is from the Dancer's Bonfire. So I'm going to save that area for the next episode. So I think we're just going to end this episode here. Just make sure before you come in that you do have tons of fire bombs. Oh, there's also a summon sign. You need to make sure that Hawkwood, before you come here, make sure that Hawkwood is outside of the bonfire, or is outside of Firelink, because you can summon him for this fight, which you should be able to as long as you've been talking to him every time that we have, because then he'll leave Firelink, and as long as he's gone from Firelink, we'll be able to summon him for this next boss fight. And he's one of the things that can make this boss fight from one that is very challenging to one that is very easy. So it's very important that you bring him. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and next time we will take out Osiris.